Hey guys, it's Bree VP. Today I'm going to attempt to teach you how to negotiate like a man. By man, I don't want to say necessarily that all men are good negotiators or use them as like the setting example of what you should be, but I just say it because I think I used to need a lot of help on getting what I want, and I want to teach you how to do it. Not that men are a good example and that they get what they want, but I think there's a lot of tricks that women need to incorporate. Girlies like us, we need to incorporate, we need to get what we want. Before you go into any negotiation, you have to know your self-worth. You have to know how valuable and important you are, because you are. You have to know how valuable and important you are, and you have to know, even though people like to say, oh, you're so replaceable, or like people like to throw other people off as replaceable, you have to know that you're irreplaceable. You have to know what makes you unique and what you can bring to the table that nobody else can. You have to know you are the prize. You're the prize, girlie. You are. You are, yeah, you're the prize, all right? And you have to know that, and I used to not know that, so I used to always like look at things as an honor. Like if I was interviewing for like a really reputable company or like trying to get something that I really wanted, I felt like they were so much above me, and like I was in like a begging position, like, oh my gosh, I'd be so grateful if I got this job with them. You have to reframe your brain. They should be grateful that you are even considering working with them. That's the first step. The first step is changing your mentality on yourself. You have to know how valuable you are. You really do. You have to make a list of things you like about yourself. You have to make a list of, I mean, I can make a whole entire video on self-worth. I've definitely had lots of turmoils in terms of my fluctuating measurements of self-worth that I have endured, but I definitely am at the point in my life where I know I do bring a lot of value, and because of that, I like to get what I want. Because of that, I do get what I want. So always know your self-worth. If you know your self-worth, then you already have the mentality of, they need me more than I need them. You always want to assume that with anything. This could be applicable to anything. I guess right now I'm talking about it in terms of like a job, but really in terms of anything, relationship, you have to know that you are the prize. You are. You are. You have to know that, all right? Number 2, always know you have options. Just like the point I brought across before. In terms of being replaceable, many people will make the argument, oh, everyone's replaceable. You can get someone to do the exact same thing, and if not better. But not everyone is you. Everyone is completely different. So nobody is truly to the root of the core replaceable. So you always have to know that you have options, all right? If you don't get something, you will have another option, and you will complete your goal no matter what. Because you can, and because you negotiate, and because you don't tolerate nonsense. Have options. If they can't give you what you want and meet your demands, you're gonna go to the next one and find someone who will. If you hear no, you're asking the wrong person. You have to find the right person who is going to say yes to what you want. If you keep constantly hearing no, you're asking the wrong people. You have to keep looking and keep your eye out, all right? These are 2 very important. These are like the backbone, all right? You have to know these 2 things. You have to know you're the prize, and you have to know you have options. You do, because you are the prize. Prizes have options, all right? In order to negotiate, you have to know what you want, and you have to be very specific about what you want, and you have to write down everything that you want. Never assume that you're asking for too much. Never assume that it's going to be impossible. Like I said, you have options. There's always going to be someone out there that can. If this person can't, they can't. Someone else will, you know. You have to write down every single thing that you want, and you have to make sure that those things are accomplished. Those things are vocalized to whoever you're trying to negotiate with. For me, for example, this is a silly example. I was debating taking on a role at a company this year, and I had told them numerous things. Number one, I want 20%. Normally, you get 15, for example. Number two, I want to live for free. I don't want to pay for rent. Other people work. That's fine. I don't want to. Number three, why don't I just pull out the list? 3, I want a jacket for when it's cold. Everyone else had to pay for jackets. I don't feel I should have to do that. If I can't wear my own jacket, which I had multiple, if I can't wear my own and I have to wear the company one, I want that provided for me in my uniform. The year prior, I didn't negotiate that, and I had to pay $50 when it hit below 40 degrees freezing. I don't want to do that. Number 4, I wanted Thursday off. It was my friend Niha's birthday, and I know I'm just taking on the job, and I know you're not supposed to ask for time off so quick, but if you lay these things out beforehand, this is what I wanted. This is what I want. If you want me, I need all of these taken care of. This was the boss at the time, and he's actually like, that was like, these are all the demands I had in order for me to take on this job. Everything that I wanted. Why? Because I made it clear. I knew what I wanted. And I knew if I didn't get those things, I wouldn't take on the job. I'll find someone else who will give me all those things, who will let me live for free, who will give me 20%. I know it's competitive. This is just an example, all right? And of course, in those type of situations, you can make the argument like, oh, well, you have this and this and this that, of course, they would want with their company, but you have to know that you are worth it. Just know if someone says no, you're asking the wrong person. If he would have said no, and you have to always be ready for them to say no as well. And that's why I brought myself to a point too, and I said, always know that you have options. If he had told me no, okay, that's fine. It was nice meeting you. I'm gonna go now. And you're gonna find someone who will say yes. And when you come in with that energy, knowing that you don't need these people, you never want to beg. Now, this isn't to say that you don't want to be humble. This isn't to say that you can't give people their flowers, but you have to know that you are equal to everyone. We're all the same. We're all human. See your skin? We're all human. We're all human. We are, so you never feel as if someone's above you. I don't care how much money they have. I don't care what they say they have done. You're the same. So you're nothing above me. I can do just what you can do. We're the same. We just have different, strengths and weaknesses. If you are going to compromise, make sure it's sure as S-H-I-T worth it. Make sure it's sure is worth it. If I'm compromising anything, it better be with great reason. So this previous example, I wanted 20%. He said, that's really high. It doesn't seem that high, like 20% from 15, but when you start getting in the big numbers, it's a big difference. It can be the difference of like hundreds of dollars. I said, I want it. He said, I don't know if I could do that. I said, well, and I was just about to, this is when we got to negotiation. Like I told Nihao came with me to interview for this job, and the second she got up, I said, okay, let's talk details. And I started listing my commands. He said, I don't know if I could do 20%. I sat there and I paused. You listen. You listen to what they say. You don't butt in too quick. And you never, ever, ever say yes to a compromise right away. This is me. This is what I do. You don't ever want to say yes right away. Unless it's something really good and you're confident. You're like, you know what? Even better if whatever you compromise, you always go above. So let's say I was fine. I wanted 20%. I could have said 25. I could have said I wanted 25% and then negotiated at 20, and then, you know, you could always do that as well. Obviously, like, you go to a flea market and that's kind of what you're bargaining at. Like, oh, what about this? You know what? If he goes a little bit higher, what about this little trinket? Could I give you $5 for this thing? 10? Oof. What about 7? You go into Chinatown in New York City, you're paying cash for everything, and they say, oh, phone case. Can I give you $3 for this thing? Okay, sorry. You start to walk away. My mom taught me this at a very young age. We'd go to Chinatown, and you just see all down the streets, there's just all sorts of things that you want. As kids, we're just like, goodies, squishy balls, turtles in cages, little things, little tchotchkes. And every single thing we wanted, my mom would give them a price of what they think it's worth. They would rebuttal and say, 15. No, sorry. And then she starts to walk away because she knows she has options. She knows she can get it somewhere else for the same price. So when he's saying that, I just paused and I listened. He said, I don't know if I can do that for you, Bree. You know, the state fairs, these are big, busy state fairs. You've never worked these. You don't realize how much money there is at these fairs. I said, that's true. I haven't worked these fairs. I don't know how much money there is available. Here's what I can do for you. He said, I will give you 20% at every fair that's not a state fair. The state fairs, I'm gonna give you 15. And you're still gonna make a SHIT load of money. I sat there and I paused. I thought about it. I paused. And that was a better deal than I had gotten the previous year at a different company. So deep down inside, I'm fine with it because, like, the difference with the percentage makes can be really, really, really crucial, especially when a fair is not busy. If I can make $200 out of every $1,000 that I bring in rather than $150, it's another $50 I wouldn't have had just from a conversation, just from speaking up and saying I want more. I ended up agreeing. And the compromise, sure as SHIT, was worth it. He was right. The state fairs were really busy. They were big fairs. I made great money. It was worth it. It was a compromise worth it. Yes, it used to be very hard for me to see in myself. I didn't think I provided anything. I was almost a high school dropout. I didn't even think I could make it to college, let alone graduate. Genuinely. If you ask anyone in my hometown if they thought I was going to graduate college and actually make it to Miami and actually do everything that I said I was going to do, many of them would giggle. They would giggle. I remember a teacher in my high school said, Bree, I always say, I could see you being locked in prison or being the president of the United States. It's gonna be one or the other, but it's up for you to decide. I've been really trying to overlap my lips. I know I made the video about the lip injections, but I really want them. I just look at like Marilyn Monroe and like Paris Hilton, even Miley Cyrus in like all the music videos. I'm like, she has a nice like, whatever. Always know your worth. It all derives from that. When you know your worth, you know that you won't tolerate nothing. I would always try to negotiate with my parents too. When I was young, I always wanted to get what I want. And I'm very stubborn too. I'm a Taurus. And stereotypically, Taurus are stubborn. Shocker. I get what I want. Always negotiate. Learn to negotiate to get what you want. Maybe that should be the title of today's video. Negotiate to get what you want. Negotiate like a man. A man who gets what he wants. I'm gonna make my video shorter, so I'm gonna leave this video at that. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is an absolute honor. I hope at least something from this video could have provided any sort of value to you guys. Just remember, you need to know your worth. You're perfect. You need to know you have options. There are other people who are going to see you as perfect, even if this person does not. Number 3, if you do decide to compromise, make sure as SHIT that it's worth it. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is an absolute honor. I will see you guys next week.